All right, everyone, for the warm-up today, we are going to dive in and do our practice carve with our clip art. And so the first thing that you are going to do is just grab a pen, and any of your lines that you did from last time where you transferred your image onto your rubber, you added the ink on top, I want you to thicken those lines, make them a smidge bolder, okay? So I'm gonna make my lines maybe twice as bold, just very briefly to start. Okay, it's okay if you don't get to all of your lines in your clip art, but this will help significantly as we practice using the different carving blades. Okay. Sometimes if your pen runs out of ink like mine's doing, I'm gonna scribble it off on a little extra piece of paper here. Sometimes the pen tip kind of gets a little bit clogged. Okay. Now, as I'm making these lines a smidge thicker, so think about twice as thick, I'm doing this outside of my original line. I'm just gonna share with you some reminders about the carving tools and just carving safety, etc. Okay, so first things first, always make sure that you are working at a bench hook. That's this metal plate right here, okay? That your non-dominant hand is gloved up, that you've sanitized, you're set and ready to go, and that you use your carving gouge or your carving tool only on the rubber surface itself, okay? Not on anything else, and only when instructed to do so, okay? So you shouldn't be carving up my table, you should not be carving up your personal items, my personal items, your neighbor's personal items, etc., okay? And that is for safety reasons. Now with these interior details, I was able to make them a little bit bigger, okay? You might not be able to make your interior details a little bit bigger, but this is kind of good enough to start. So all of my lines I have made a smidge bolder or thicker, okay? And now I'm ready to carve, okay? So I am gonna glove up my non-dominant hand. Remember, your non-dominant hand is the one that holds the rubber like so. And I'm gonna grab a 3-blade just to start. So these are, let me see if I can find one. Oh, don't even have one right here. Here we go. If you look on the back of the blades, you'll notice there's a really small number. This is a 3. Remember, these run from 1 through 5, 1 being the smallest, 5 being the biggest. So I'm just gonna do a real quick practice cut with this. Okay, so I am going to, let's zoom out. I am going to, okay, make sure the point of the V is facing kind of down towards my rubber. I'm always carving parallel. And my index finger is gonna go on the metal part, okay? And my thumb and my middle finger are gonna go on either side. And I'm just gonna practice doing a surface level cut, okay? So something that looks like that, I can even do another one for good luck if I feel like it, okay? Now, what I'm going to do to start is I'm gonna use this blade. This is my medium-sized blade. And so I am going to start to use it to carve out any of my white areas. So when we're creating a stamp, we take away the white and we leave anything that is black behind. Okay, so the black is gonna remain the raised surface, and the white, we're going to gradually take it away. And so what I'm going to do is I am going to create a cut that is outside of my black line. And then in just a moment, I am going to, okay, create a similar line that is on the inside, okay? Now, because this inside is a little bit smaller, I am gonna downgrade from a 3 tool to a 2 tool. So I'm gonna practice using that one, okay? This one's the 2 tool right here. It says it right on the back. And I'm gonna do the other side of my main line. And this particular blade I think is very dull. I'm gonna have to change it out. Okay. And so what this allows is for my main line, I've done a line on the outside of that black line. For my smiley, I've done a line on the inside. And what that does in my carving is it creates a bumper, okay, around this black line I want to preserve. And then what I can do is take away, okay, some of the area, right? I'm going to upgrade to a 4 or a 5, whatever is on my table. This one happens to be a 4 tool, and I'm going to begin by taking away the background, okay? So all this white area of the background, I'm going to begin by taking it away. And I'm just trying to create surface level cuts that overlap one another. So I'm not trying to carve overly deep. I am trying to carve in the same direction. And I am trying to overlap my strokes just like if you were mowing grass and you want it to be all kinds of neat. At this point in time, I'm going to just test out the 5 tool. So I'm still removing the background. So the 5 one is right here. Okay, this is my largest blade that I have. And again, very surface level. I'm just overlapping my strokes, going in the same direction. And I'm trying to take away all of the white area. Okay, and I'm doing the outside first just because I know that the larger areas are the easiest to carve away. I'm rotating my stamp now so it's upside down so I can continue to carve away from myself. You always want to make sure that your carving tool is heading in the direction opposite you, not side to side, okay, or anything like that. Becomes a little bit unsafe, definitely not towards yourself. And again, I'm just creating very surface level cuts. And then the last thing I'm going to do on my background, prior to starting in what I would deem the harder part, okay, because it's just the smaller part overall, is I'm going to go in the opposite direction on my top and my bottom just to get that little piece of rubber that's raised off. Here we go. And the goal typically is to carve in the same direction, okay? But sometimes you can't always do that. Okay, so now I'm ready for what would be called the details of my piece. Okay, so I am gonna use my 2 blade, okay? And then I'm gonna downgrade to my 1. My 1 is my smallest. But I'm gonna use my 2 blade and I am going to take away some of the material on the inside, okay? Now, if I can, prior to taking that material away, I'm gonna create a bumper, okay, or a cut around each of my details as much as I can to preserve it prior to taking away the background area. So creating that little line around some of these details, okay, allows you to take away the background more freely. I'm going to downgrade at this point to my 1 blade because, so the 1 is the smallest one. It's super small, super tiny. I'm going to create my bumper around the eyes of the smiley here with my 1 blade because it is the smallest. And then I'm going to upgrade to my 2 blade and take away the remainder of that background. And again, the goal is to not curve super deep. I'm just trying to overlap my strokes here. If I had a larger area inside of here, guess what I could do? I could upgrade to my 4 or my 5, overlap those strokes. Life is good. All right, real quick reminder, double check yourself. Make sure that you are holding your tool properly, okay, that your index finger is on top, on the middle, and your thumb and your middle finger on either side. And I am almost done. So the goal for the warm-up today is to just do some reminders about safety, reminders about holding the tools, and then just give you time to practice with each of them, okay? The goal being, as we're carving away from yourself, holding the tool properly, practice using different size blades. And then also when you're carving, remember to overlap those strokes, okay? And go in the same direction as much as possible. We do want to keep these surface level cuts. What that means is if you look on the side of your piece and you are carving more than about halfway down or even halfway down, that is way too deep. Please back it up, okay? And so this stamp would now be ready to be inked.